If you do have something like a block, you could bring in a block. If you don't have one, we would rest our bottoms on it or sit on it or use it to elevate the hips. So if you don't have a block, maybe a tougher cushion would be good to have. So once we've got all our items together that we might want to practice with, we will begin lying down on our backs. So making your way down there when you feel ready. I find a nice supported position great for the morning hours. So my feet are a bit wider, knees are dropping in. Sometimes I do like the full Shavasana. It's depending on how the back feels, how the hip flexors are going in the morning. And if you like, for today or for now, you could rest your hands onto the lower belly. If for whatever reason you need a little bit of hip opening, you could touch the soles of the feet together as well. Let the knees fall out towards the sides. If that's challenging, maybe supporting with a couple of blocks or cushions under the legs, if that is you. If you can't close your eyes, there's a steady gaze point you could use instead against the ceiling. Hands preferably, as I said, on the lower belly. And just feeling for now. What does it feel like to rest the hands there? Is it comforting? Allowing yourself to feel the subtle movement of your soft breathing. Allowing yourself then to gently deepen your breath. Maybe simply starting with breathing into your hands. Expanding the belly and letting it fall. So the breath's still fairly gentle, but deep. If you then notice you would actually prefer to take the breath all the way up into full yogic breathing, that is an option. So you could breathe into your belly, ribs, and then to your collarbones. And then when you're exhaling, belly comes back, ribs come in, and the chest comes in. As you allow deep breathing, lying on your back in a comfortable position, breathing into your hands. Maybe beginning on the exhalation to engage the lower abdomen a bit more and drawing that inwards. So building up a bit of inner strength, but knowing that strength can only be there when there's the opposite. Like with everything, it is somehow balanced, maybe not always immediately. So while the belly is expanding on the inhalation, there is a stronger pull of the lower abdomen on the exhalation. You can still choose between just breathing in and out of the belly or practicing full yogic breathing. Today we will have a bit of a play with fearlessness. Wouldn't it be good if we could overcome our fears? And maybe as you hear that, please do continue your breathing. There is one or the other fear that you're dealing with coming up in your mind. Don't get stuck in any of them. They could be smaller fears, they could be bigger ones that you're dealing with. And sometimes we deliberately want to step through the fear. So just noticing what comes, what goes, and allow a few more breaths, knowing that there's a way, by bringing awareness or shining light onto our fears, that we can learn to deal with them. Most of our fears not being an immediate threat, but more so created by our minds, especially if we're carrying them. Allowing a few more breaths like that. And if you like, you could lengthen the breath just slightly. In whatever position you are, keep breathing, but open your arms now. We'll do something that we regularly practice to clear out the body and to mobilize. So while you're taking an in-breath, let's roll the head gently to one side, keeping the head on the floor. Doesn't matter if you're tucking down towards your shoulder. And when you're exhaling, centering the head again. On the in-breath, turning the head. On the exhale, centering it again. So just rolling your head as you breathe in and bringing it to center when breathing out. You can have your eyes closed while you do so. Arms, shoulders relaxed. And when you're next in balance, left and right side, just center your head for a moment. Let it rest here. And from here, placing your fingers to your shoulders and starting to circle your shoulders as you're breathing in. Open them out. As you're breathing out, try and tuck the elbows together. Inhaling to circle open. Exhaling to bring them together. Deep, full breathing still. And if you need to slow the movement down, you can. One more in this direction. And then changing the direction. Lifting on the in-breath, circling out and touching on the out-breath. We will step this up in a little moment, but do one more here now. Before releasing down your shoulders, relaxing your arms. See if you can get the shoulders back into a completely relaxed position. You can still use the same breathing technique or breathe softly. Maybe bringing a bit of awareness into the shoulders and how they're feeling now. I will ask you then to separate the knees or step your feet onto the ground in whichever position you are right now. So you're centering the body, spine aligned, and the feet on the ground, maybe about hip distance apart, but comfortably. They don't have to be that close towards your buttocks. We will use a little bit of core strength to move through groins and legs. So for that reason, turn the palms of the hands down and arms down by your sides as a bit of a support. We'll start with the right leg, flexing the foot. And then as you're inhaling, extending the leg just above the ground, if that's possible. If not, slide the leg across the mat. Point the foot as you're exhaling, bring your knee in, give it a hug. Arms back down by the sides, stabilize your pelvis as you're inhaling, foot is flexed, and we're slowly extending the leg out. Pointing the foot, and on the exhalation, drawing the knee in towards the chest. Do that one more time, arms down, extending the leg out. Find as much stability in the rest of the body as is possible. As you're pointing, then on your out breath, draw the knee with your hands in towards the chest. Now movement will remain the same, but I'll give you an extra option. So while you're inhaling, there's the strength and the steadiness. Then point it, and as you're exhaling, if that feels right, lift your nose up to the knee as you're hugging it in. Lying back down, as you're inhaling, extending the leg just above the ground. Pointing as you're exhaling, drawing the knee in towards the chest. Inhaling to extend. And exhaling to hug in. Last round. Maybe pausing here in the hug for a moment. Keep the hug and squeeze and lower the head. Then step your foot down onto the ground. Let your arms roll open as you pause, just to bring some awareness into the imbalance we've created. Knowing that that's perfectly okay and even part of the process. So resting here at ease. Then turn the palms back down, arms a bit closer by your side. Flex your left foot. If possible, lift it a little bit off the ground as you're inhaling to extend the leg out slowly. Then point the foot. And as you're exhaling, just a simple drawing in of the knees to the chest with your hands. That's the first 3 rounds, so 2 more to go. Flex the foot, arms down by the sides, inhaling to extend out long. Then point, and as you're breathing out, drawing your knee in towards the chest. 1 more round, inhaling to extend, watch the stability in the body, pointing, and as you're breathing out, hugging the knee in towards the chest. Now, I invite you to continue just like that as you're inhaling, extending, and then pointing the foot. As you're exhaling, might you now choose to lift your nose up to the knee as you hug it in. On the inhale, arms down, nice and stable body as you're extending. Point, and a breath out as you're lifting up. Nose, knee meeting. Go for 2 more, extending slowly on the inhalation, foot inflection, pointing as you're breathing out, bringing knee, nose together if that feels good. And keep going for another round after this one. Once you have completed, you might keep your knee hugged in together with your nose for a moment. Then releasing the head first, then stepping the foot to the ground. Let your arms open, your feet widen, the knees drop in for a moment as we pause here. Hopefully we've rebalanced the body, but maybe you can feel sensations. Look for anything you can feel. Something that feels more loose, something that feels tighter or more engaged. Warmth potentially in the space. And I will ask you then to separate the knees again. Bring your feet down onto the ground, and they could be even a little bit further away from you. I will ask you from here to bend your elbows like cactus arms out towards the sides. Make sure the shoulders are still soft, so don't crank your elbows all the way up. They can stay here relaxed. Now, while you're inhaling, making soft fists. And as you're exhaling, release the fists and draw the forearms together over your chest. That's very simple to start with. As you inhale, making fists and opening the arms. And then touching the palms together and the forearms as you're exhaling. Now again here, keep the stability in the rest of your body. Inhaling fists, bend elbows open, and then palms are touching, forearms are touching on the out breath. Now I will add a lift and a bit of core strength. If you choose to come along, you can. Otherwise, keep repeating. As I touch my arms, I will lift the head and tuck the elbows in towards the tummy. On the inhale, open with soft fists. On the exhale, lift and tuck towards the tummy. Inhaling, open, head is down. And exhaling, maybe lifting and tucking in. Breathe in to open. And exhale, tuck it in. I invite you here to go for 3 more. If you need to rest earlier, that's perfectly fine. Or you could just do the arm movement if you need a rest of the core. Release back down when you complete it. And again, take a pause. You could step the feet apart again, drop the knees in, or let the legs slide out if that's better for your body. I will ask you then to lift the arms a tad bit more, but keep them below shoulder height. Step your feet and your knees together at this stage. And then begin to rock the knees from side to side. Keep it small at first, just a rocking into the pelvis. You could come over to the side on the exhalation and come into the center on the inhalation, but you could also do it the other way around. So maybe worth to try out which way of breathing feels best today. So either inhaling as the knees move across or exhaling. So major difference here. On the exhalation, we've got naturally a little bit more strength. So it might help us to bring the knees to center if that was our out breath. But also, do we have more stability and strength when we're moving over to the side? So that might work better for you to breathe out then. On the in-breaths, it might feel like a gentle rocking into the center. Or it might be a nice way of extending the body over to the side a bit further. So have a play as the movement becomes bigger, maybe even gets to somehow full extension, whatever that is for each individual. I will ask you to center yourself when you next feel in balance, to lift the hips a little bit off the floor, push them over to the right and land them down. Then lift your feet off the ground and bring your knees over towards the right-hand side. So while we're here in a twist, we've realigned the spine so that the spine might be in a curve, but still kind of straight on the mat. We will place our left hand onto the side waist and we'll place our right hand behind the head towards the neck to support the neck. So my fingers are kind of holding onto the neck, either side of the spine. I will ask you now to lift the head and shoulders off the ground. And as you're breathing out, trying to look over the hips. Inhaling, move back, see if you can leave the head lifted off the ground and breathing out to lift. Inhaling, open. Exhaling, lift. So if you're staying hovering off the ground, you've got that little bit more strength going on, but it's not essential. You could also just lie back and then lift again. Play with the stronger out breaths, 2 more. As you release down, release your arms. You could lift one knee at a time. Step your feet back onto the ground. Push into the feet. Lift your hips. Swing them over to the left as you place them down. Take your feet off the ground and bring the knees over to the right. Again, just feel into your alignment. Does it feel right? Do you need to shuffle a bit? And then we will place our right hand onto the waist. Left hand behind the head towards the neck. And again, maybe your fingers either side of the spine in the neck. Taking a breath in. And while you're exhaling, lifting the head and shoulders, looking over the hip. Inhale, come back. Feel free to lie down if that's what you need to do, or try and keep the head lifted as you inhale. On the exhale, looking over the hip. Inhale, coming back. Stronger out breath now. Try not to pull on the head. Only 2 more. Then releasing the head, releasing the arms, bringing the knees back up, stepping the feet to the ground, and pushing your hips back into center. I will ask you from here to bring both knees into the chest. Just give them a little squeeze so they get nice and comfortable there. And if you like, you can rock over the lower back. If you don't feel like doing more core strengths by rocking forward and backwards, you could instead roll over to your side. Otherwise, might you choose to cross your ankles, keep your knees a little bit open and grab your big toes. So I always grab my big toes with the index and the middle finger through between the big toe and the next, and then take my thumbs over the fingernails. I'm just so particular because that touches an energy point that sits between the toes and keeps your shoulders open. And then from there, you might start to rock forward and back. This might take you up to sit, but we're not quite there yet. Go for one more and then release to the floor. Only to change the cross of the ankles and grip your big toes again. So knees will stay open and we're starting to rock a few times forward and back again. Keep doing so, a few more rounds. If you've already rolled over to your side, that's fine. Coming up into sitting when you're ready. And you will land exactly the way you had your legs crossed. Whether that's comfortable for you or rather challenging, up to you. You could take your support and pop that underneath to sit on. As we will have our first attempt at the mudra that I've chosen for the practice today, one that helps us to cultivate fearlessness. I won't mirror it, so it's the right hand lifting with the palm of the hand facing forward, just like a stop sign really. That's to keep things out that we don't want. And then the left hand resting down at the back of it with the palm facing upward in your lap. Close the eyes for a moment. Notice how it feels to create this gesture. And imagine what it feels like to live without fear. You would be infinite and limitless. You would be completely free. Maybe keeping that sense of fearlessness and freedom. As you take your next breath in, open your arms out wide. Gentle fists as you're softening the elbows. And as you're breathing out, releasing those fists and turning to one side. Placing the back of the hand against the outside of your leg or knee and twisting. As you're inhaling, open the arms, making fists. And on the exhalation, twisting to the other side. Repeat that once more, breathing in, open your arms. Breathing out to twist. Last round, inhale, open. And exhaling, come to twist. Open once more your arms as you inhale. Then release the arms down as you exhale. Uncrossing your legs and finding your way onto all fours. So standing on your hands and on your knees hip distance, hands shoulder distance. And as usual, slide the wrists a little bit out from underneath the shoulders towards the front of your mat. If you like, you can tuck your toes under. Just an option. Notice what feels best in the body, in the knees. While you're inhaling, soften your elbows a bit, drop your belly, lift your tail and lift your gaze. And as you're exhaling, rounding deeply into the back, into your cat. As you inhale, soften the elbows, lifting tail and gaze. And on the out breath, deeply rounding the back. Keep doing so for 3 more breaths. Nothing else to do quite yet, but just lifting, opening, and rounding. If you like, for another 3 rounds then, could you lift the knees a little bit off the ground? But the same here on the inhale, elbows soften, tail gaze lifting. Breath out as you round, the knees may be slightly off the ground. When we practice that in the 3rd round, hold it. Even if your knees were grounded so far, take them all the way up and back into a downward facing dog. Walk out through your legs, finding a little bit more ease in your body. Then either here or on all fours, as you inhale, extending your right leg up into the air, that is. And as you're breathing out, draw the knee into the chest, step the foot forward, but also lower your knee down to the ground. You can untuck the toes behind you if that feels better. You can use hands on the thighs if you need some more support. Otherwise, curl up to stand on knee and foot. And then lifting the arms out as you're making gentle fists. And on the out breath, touching the forearms together. On the inhale, opening the arms and the chest. On the exhale, touching the forearms together. We'll do that one more time. Now, as you're breathing in, next round, maybe open the chest and the gaze as well. And as you're exhaling, you're touching the arms together, lower down towards the inside of the knee. So if it is your choice, we're increasing the movement here. On the in-breath, open the body. And on the out-breath, touching the forearms and lowering down towards the inside of the knee. So you've got plenty of space there. Holding this last one here. If you like, you can place the hands then down on the inside of your foot. And if your knee allows you to, you can open the knee out to the side by rolling to the edge of the foot, maybe even moving your hips a bit forward. If that feels all right, Lean into the left hand a bit more. Take your right hand towards your knee and turn your gaze. As we release the shape, bring the foot back down. Slide your knee back so we're back on our fours. Tucking your toes under. We go again as you inhale, lengthen and open, elbows soft. And as you're exhaling, round your back, potentially knees lightly off the ground. Knees come down as you inhale, open the front. Exhaling, round, maybe knees a little bit off the ground. Only one more round. Inhale, open. Exhale to round and maybe hold. Next option to extend it up into downward dog. Still feeling a little bit stiff and or rusty, walk out the legs. And if you're feeling comfortable to move from down dog, you can stay, otherwise bring the knees back down. As you inhale, lifting the left leg. And on the exhale, bringing the knee forward, landing the foot between the hands, but also lowering the other knee down onto the ground. And for some of you, that could have a different order. You can untuck the toes behind you. You can use the thigh to lean on and to lift yourself up, or just rolling up through the spine. As we come to stand, we're repeating the movement. So soft fists, elbows bend as you inhale to open, and then touching the forearms together as you're breathing out. 2 more like this. Inhaling, open. Exhaling, touch. Allow yourself time to breathe fully. Even if you choose to extend the movement with me, to open the chest, the gaze. And then when the forearms are touching, leaning down to the inside of the knee. On the inhale, open. On the exhale, touch. Maybe come down and forward. One more. Then holding in the low position. Planting your hands down inside of the foot. While you come a little bit forward to lunge in, you could choose to roll the knee open, coming to the edge of the foot. And only if you feel really supported here, could you lean more weight into the right hand to lift the left hand gently against the knee. So no force here, but turning your chest and gaze upward. As we release that, roll the foot back down. Bring it more to center. Hands could be either side now. We'll just tuck the back toes under to take a most elegant step forward. Then have a breath in, so you lengthen your spine to a half lift. And then breathe out to fold. Allow yourself for a moment to be in the forward bend. And I encourage you to keep your knees bent, so the belly's got a shelf to rest on, to let the arms hang down towards the ground. And if they do touch the floor, try to bring the backs of the hands down today. Still the weight sits more in the balls of the feet than in the heels. So we're getting a bit of lengthening through the backs of the legs. Take a few deep breaths so that the exhalation helps you to deepen. When the next out breath comes, engage your lower abdomen and begin to roll up to standing. If you need an extra breath while you're still rolling, that's okay. Just using the out breath to keep our blood pressure moving together with us. So once we come into standing, you can separate the feet, bring them comfortably onto the ground. Give your shoulders a little wiggle and shake, like the shimmies. And then open the hands forward, finding a tall, strong stance. Steadying your gaze and shifting the weight towards your left foot. We'll allow ourselves a tree pose. So when you open the knee out, it's absolutely up to you where you're placing this foot. You could lift the heel up, you could place the foot against your lower leg, or you could be very adventurous and bring the foot up a little bit further. So it's up to you. If your foot's any higher than your knee, just creating a bit of pressure between the leg and the foot. More important for all is that we're lengthening from the floor through the hip up to the crown. You found your balance? Let's open the arms again, making soft fists. So we're building a little bit of different branches today. Noticing how gentle that is on your shoulders as you take your next inhalation. And if you like, bring the arms forward, touching your forearms. Holding here with your gaze either side of your hands. When you next inhale, lift your arms and your knee. And then as you're exhaling, come back to the cactus arms and step your foot down for warrior one. Pause here, shoulders relaxed, fists are soft. Take a breath in, open your heart, open your gaze. And as you're breathing out, touching the forearms, and lowering, but only so the spine stays long. Gaze lightly forward. Now push more into the front foot as you're rising. Gentle fists, open heart and gaze. And as you're exhaling, touching the forearms again, leaning forward, keeping the spine long. Go for another round. Breath in. And breath out. Pause here. Make this as relaxed as is possible, yet with stability in the lower body. Lean the weight into the front foot. Stepping your feet together. Take a breath in while you're reaching up. And then a breath out as you slowly open the arms and bring them back down by the sides for mountain pose. Maybe the shoulders need some movement to find your ease again. When you find your ease, turn the palms forward, stand again in mountain pose. We'll shift our weight to the right foot, choosing your tree on this side. So mainly it is that the knees opening out to the side. You can leave big toes on the ground. Step the foot against your lower leg, or if you choose to bring the foot up above the knee, we're creating pressure between the foot and the leg so the foot doesn't slide down. Avoiding the knee joint here altogether, as we stand firmly on the foot, get a lift through the side of the hip right up towards your crown. You found your steadiness? Soft fists as you take a breath in and bring your arms out to the sides. Holding here, shoulders relaxing. Gaze stays steady. Tree stays tall. inhale here. And as you're exhaling, try and touch the forearms together in front of you. Hands at roughly eye height. So you have one eye looking onto or over either side of your hands. As you take a breath in, lift the arms. And as you're breathing out, making the soft fists while you're landing here into a warrior one. So you find your stance and stability. On the next inhalation, opening your heart and your gaze. And when you're exhaling, touching the forearms together and leaning a little bit forward. So remind yourself of keeping your spine long. Push down into the front foot as you inhale, rise again. Soft fists, arms opening, chest and gaze. And when you're exhaling, bringing the forearms together, long spine, that little bit of core support. Take a breath in for a last round to open. On the out breath, forearms, palms touching, lean forward, pause here. Shifting the weight into the front foot. As you're stepping it forward, reach the arms up, inhale. And then soft arms coming out to the side for a slow out breath to release the arms. I invite you again to come back to ease, moving in any way that feels right before you stand one more time in mountain pose. The palms might be open, tall, steady stands through the three corners of each foot. As you take your next inhalation, open out back to cactus arms, make your fists, soften your knees. And then as you're breathing out, roll the shoulders forward, keep the knees soft or bend them and curl down into a forward fold. Take a half lift as you're breathing in here. And as you're exhaling, lower to a forward bend. Then bring your knees down to the mat and then come to sit. We had a forward bend in our practice. I would love you to have one more. If you only have a block, you might pop the block halfway up underneath your knees. However, if you have a bolster or a rolled up cushion or something else that could replace the bolster, it might be more comfortable to have that underneath your knees. So basically, when we're supporting with the knees, we've got our legs in a good alignment anyway. So when you keep them hip distance, they should be in a good position. You can take your hands against your shins or your support. As you take a breath in, lift the sit bones either side, just shuffling around until you feel quite balanced. Maybe slightly leaning forward as you lower your gaze towards your toes. Take another breath in just to feel the length coming through the back, even into the neck. And then as you're exhaling, see if you can lean forward, belly over your thighs. Keep your spine long and lifted, your shoulders in their sockets. And if you're holding onto your support or even your shins, lengthen once more as you're inhaling. And then if it feels good, otherwise keep the spine long, let your body slide forward. You could lower the gaze gently, or you could drop the head. But please be aware that when your head falls down, that there's a pull created in the back of the neck and right up to the upper back. So if that doesn't feel right, lightly keep the head lifted to avoid that pull. Shoulders are soft and resting. Nothing more to do but breathing in deeply and out slowly. Bringing the awareness and the extension into the exhalation. One more breath. Before you can roll or walk yourself back up into sitting. Maybe taking the bolster or support out from underneath. You can keep that close. We're coming to the floor now, and you might want to use that in one short while for resting pose. But please make sure that you've got your block or whatever you're using instead with you. Place the hands down, tuck the chin in, and then roll your body down onto the floor. You might land on the forearms and then on your back. Step your feet in a little. It's not going to become a bridge pose at all. So step the feet down, just squeezing the buttocks muscles to lift the hips and then slide the block underneath the sacrum. Making sure that you're resting comfortably on the block with the spine itself, other than your tailbone, hanging off the block. You might notice that there will be a shift in energy and flow. And I will ask you from here to bring your right knee into the chest and maybe to give that a gentle squeeze. Notice how you're feeling. It is slightly different to what we've done earlier because the hips are a bit higher. If this feels good, you might slide your left leg out, and this is where the benefit of the block comes really into play, as we're creating a bit of a deeper opening through the front of the left hip. Staying here for a few breaths. You can close the eyes or steady the gaze. To change sides, step your left foot back down before you release your right foot onto the ground. Then bring your left knee into the chest, and if you've got a habit of interlacing, change to the other finger in front as you draw your left knee into the chest. Notice how it feels on this side. You could experience differences, such as one side easier than the other, or just different sensations. Your choice to slide the right leg out. Do stay pain-free, but if you're feeling length coming through the front here of the right side, maintain that. Keep hugging the left knee in towards the chest. And then to release, slide your right foot back down, then step your left foot down. Then squeeze your buttocks and lift your hips. Remove the support from underneath, roll down onto your back and drop right into Shavasana. So if you want your bolster under the knees, that's fine. Feet down, knees touching is fine, or legs out long. Come to rest. Tapping into the softness that might be there now. Notice if there's any thoughts arising right now. Then take a deeper breath. Have a soft sigh out, helping you to release any leftover tension. Take another breath and do the same with the exhalation, a sigh. And one more. If your energy levels are quite low or you don't like sitting, you can stay lying down as we repeat our mudra. But if you want to sit, come up to sitting, maybe use a support underneath you. Make sure the spine is long, you're sitting tall, the shoulders are restful, the chest is open. With whatever position you're in right now, let's turn the left palm to face upwards. If you're seated, rest it onto the leg. Lifting the right hand so you're creating a stop sign. Here as well, the shoulders soft and just the elbow bent. Close your eyes again if you open them to notice the position. Apaya Mudra. Tune in once more with the sensations you feel when you come into this hand gesture. Maybe you can feel the breaths moving down into the pelvis. Helping you to ground, to center. To encourage further centering. See yourself at the beginning of a new path, new surroundings. As you begin your journey on this path, sense each of your steps firmly, supported by the earth underneath. Allowing you to move forward surely and steadily. supported by the earth and centered within your being. You inhabit your physical body more completely, allowing you to be fully present at each step along your journey. As you move forward steadily, tune in with your rhythmic breathing, which naturally deepens your sense of centering. More attuned to your body and breath, your connection to the earth deepens naturally. Cultivating a sense of oneness with your surroundings, allowing you to journey forward with greater security. As you continue along your way, you see in the distance an area of dense forest, a tunnel of trees where almost no light is entering. You hesitate for a moment, but then reconnect with the steady flow of your breath, the support of the earth beneath, and your sense of centering, allowing you to continue forward confidently. Once within the shade of these sheltering trees, your sense of oneness with the earth beneath allows all fear to be released. And you journey on with a renewed sense of safety. Soon you come to a clearing with sunlight shimmering through the leaves. And at the very center, you are inspired by the sight of an ancient, majestic tree. As you come nearer, you find a hollow within its huge trunk and roots, forming walls and a roof that invite you to sit within this natural room. As you sit, you sense your roots reaching deep into the earth, allowing you to become one with this ancient tree, deepening your sense of centering naturally. Centered completely, deeply connected to the earth. You rest in tranquility, fully supported along your life journey. One with the earth, centered within your being. You journey in complete safety. Release both hands down. Relax the body. Take a deep breath where you reach your arms out and over the head. And as you're exhaling, draw the hands down to your heart center. Lightly bow the head to your heart and down to your roots. From the stable, centered point of connection, we're extending to each other. Namaste.